So I move around a bit. I don't do well standing in front of lecterns. So my name's Chris, and I'm an associate with an organisation called Nurture Development, who some folks in the room may have met before. And I live in Yorkshire. I like to keep things nice and simple. So when people say things like asset-based community development, as well as keeping things simple, I like things that rhyme. So I like to think of it as like, where are we starting the conversation? Are we starting it on the basis of what's wrong or what's strong? If I'm paid to be helpful in someone's life, how much time do I spend focusing on the bit that's decided as wrong? Or how much do I spend thinking about the stuff that's working well? The things that I know people are already contributing in their neighborhoods, in their communities. So that's what we'll be talking about in more depth later on. See if I can work the technology. There we go. There's a slide I pre-prepared. I'm not just making this up. Oh, whoa. Slow down. Okay. So it's not about doing down issues and needs and problems. Issues and needs and problems affect people in all sorts of difficult, challenging ways. But I think we know that story. We've been down that road. We understand the problems. In some places, we're talking about the same problems with the same people in the same places that we've been talking about for generations. We're talking about the same neighborhoods, the same places. Where I live, they have maps of misery that they call Indices of Deprivation. I'm sure you'll have something similar here too, where somebody takes all the things they've decided are missing in a place and they aggregate it together and put a number on it, call it a percentage, and then measure that. And for a long time, people poured money into places and people on the basis of that. And we wondered why nothing changed. All the places are still top or bottom of every Indices of Deprivation after 30 years of top-down, money-led intervention. This is not about funding. If you start a conversation with me on the basis of what you've already decided is not working well, you can't be surprised when I only engage in that to the extent of defining myself by that too. You start telling me that there's an issue and a problem, I'll start believing it. And yet, in spite of these things, change is created at a neighborhood level in all sorts of amazing and wonderful ways. Quite often undervalued, quite often under-recognized, quite often under the radar. This is not about introducing something that doesn't already exist. It's about connecting what is already there within people, within places. Hands up anyone who's had the magical experience of writing a funding application recently. Come on, it's okay. You're amongst friends. This is a safe space. It's all good. Yeah? When was the last time you saw a grant or funding application that said, we want to understand the way that positive change is created around here and how can our funding help grow that? Whew. I'm always anxious that someone will say, yeah, we've done that, we've got that here. Usually it's, tell us about how awful it is where you live and how can we fund that? How can we reward that? Here's the map of misery. I've run a few grant schemes myself for my sins, and I remember getting the phone call. Hi, Chris, I've heard about the funding that you've got. I need some statistics because I need to tell you how rubbish it is around here. Because that's how you get money, yeah? I've got a great idea, but I need to tell you how awful it is. They used a stronger word, but we're not on that terms yet. And I said, yeah, okay, here's the statistics. Thanks very much. I've been in the grant panel meeting where we've got two great ideas and we can't decide between them. Okay, where's it worst? Where's it most awful? Let's give them the money. We're rewarding it. It plays into it. So asset-based community development, or a focus on from what's strong and what's strong, it's not about downplaying issues. Issues are important. But for the people who are paid to do a job in the neighborhood level in the room, I would ask you this. For every level of insight that you've got around a problem or an issue or a need, do you have the same level of understanding around something that's working well? And if you don't, that's where we start. That's the discovery piece. That's about redressing the balance. Because I think we know the story around issues. It's a well-trodden path. The other challenge we've got is labeling. That the support and help that's offered quite often comes with labels attached. If I'm one of the large proportion of people who are turning up in a GP practice because I'm lonely, I'm presenting with a social condition, not a medical one, let's not make the help I receive come with labels attached. There's more to me going on than the label. There's more to me than the loneliness. And if the help is designed around the loneliness, suddenly my entry back into neighborhood life is around loneliness too. Let's help Chris, lonely Chris, connect Chris. Let's connect Chris with other lonely people too. They don't call them lonely luncheon clubs because nobody wants to go to that party, for one. And for two, there's more to me than that. There's more going on for me. I am more than the sum total of the issues that affect me. The same way everybody else is too. And if systems aren't designed to accommodate that, to recognize that, then it's on us as members of the community to make sure that we recognize that. And we don't play into this labeling thing. We do it with young people as well. Neat young people. You have neat young people around here, I'm sure. Has that language transmitted across? You're not in education, employment, and training. We'll take all the things that you haven't got and we'll make that the label by which we apply and identify you. We design all our support around the thing you haven't got. That's it. You're the sum total of the problems and needs somebody else has decided you've got. Not the full story, by any stretch. What would happen if we made the label the contribution that people make? The contribution that people already make? Again, not about introducing something that's not already there. And the old story is the glass half full or half empty. And you can riddle away for hours on this one. But the answer is yes. I'm going to make it nice and easy. Where do we spend most of our time? Are we trying to design projects and ideas and innovative new things to fill the half-empty space and then wonder why it doesn't stick? Or are we trying to design and get real about discovering what is already going on for people, no matter what the issue, in spite of the issues, yet still positive change is created? How do we get real about showing up in a way that honors that, acknowledges it, connects it? It's different. Anybody been involved in a project where all the energy stopped the money as soon as the money ran out? I'm going to own it. It's all good. Safe space. This is different. The money is a red herring. Gets in the way. It's about relationship building. So for the professionals in the room, hello, welcome. It's not all about doing you down. I get that. You've got agendas to meet and boxes to tick and things like that. Systems can make fantastic interventions in people's lives, but we've got to check our power. If I am a representative of a large organization, I need to make sure that my intervention is not slowing things down or getting in the way, or quite helpfully disrupting the way that community might come together and do a thing. And again, this thing around funding. Let's have funding at the end of the conversation. Let's start the conversation about what have we already got around here that is creating change? How can we connect that up and get a conversation going? How can we bring people together around that? And then, after we've exhausted all contributions and all possibilities, then we might have the basis of saying, actually, we could do with some outside help with this. Too often I see the conversation starts with, what do you want some outside help with? Assuming there is nothing going on locally that is already creating change. And if you want a real litmus test for whether something's a neighborhood-led thing or a funded thing, ask to see the risk assessment. Got a risk assessment for that? No. Probably a neighbour thing. It stopped raining long enough in Yorkshire where I live for me to have a barbecue over summer, you'd be surprised to know. And I organised a barbecue, burned some food, served that food. I didn't do a risk assessment. I didn't have a DBS check on everybody that came. I haven't even got, and I know this is shocking, a food and hygiene certificate. I know. Enough time has passed since that barbecue that I know that nobody died, at least as a result of what I fed them. I know, yeah. I'm not insured for what happened afterwards. But that's how we run our lives. That's how neighbours do stuff. That's how people do change. That's how we come together and connect. And yet, we set up befriending schemes where the express intent is to stop people becoming friends. You've got to fill in a form to connect. You've got to fill in this piece of paper in order to do a thing. If you've done a DBS risk assessment, it's a different set of rules that apply. Okay. I would urge you to make use of this opportunity to connect with as many folk in the room, to have that conversation, to discover what others are doing and what contributions you are already making so that it can be brought together into a greater whole and influence where this journey goes from here. There'll be a workshop this afternoon, which I am contractually obliged to plug, obviously, where I'll be sharing some practical stories from my own experience at a neighborhood level about how this could work, what it looks like, and some conversational pieces that you could take away and use in your own setting. Thank you for your attention. Get the most out of the day that you can. This is about your contributions, as we've said. So thank you very much, and I will see you this afternoon, hopefully. Thank you.